Hello guys, welcome back to another election prediction video. This time we have Marianne Williamson up against former President Donald Trump. So I did a video on Williamson before, and I do believe it was a bit harsh on her. And I do think she would do a bit better in this prediction video because I looked over some of her policies and I look over the reparations for slavery part. That's $1 trillion to be spent over 20 years. So if we do the math on that, that's like 50 billion a year for reparations. Still an unpopular policy, but it's certainly not as extreme as I thought it was going to be. So I don't think she would do as terrible just due to that policy. She actually has a fairly bit of populist policies in there that would appeal well to Sanders voters. So maybe she might have a chance against Donald Trump, but let's see. Okay, first few states I'm rating. Alaska, safe Republican. Again, Williamson's very pro anti-fossil fuel. So, no, not very pro. Against anti-fossil fuel. She's against big oil, basically. So I really don't think that would help her there. She's has green policies. She would probably be very supportive of the Green New Deal as well, which would really hurt her in a state like Alaska that's super rural. Colorado, she's a right progressive fit for the state, so she would easily win it by over 10%. In the state of Iowa, again, her being with those policies, it really hurts her with rural voters, so I really wouldn't think she had a chance at winning in Iowa. She's too left-wing to really have a shot there, honestly. In Texas, again, her being super progressive really wouldn't help her in a state that's pretty conservative, and they would really only like moderate types of Democrats, so again, Texas likely red. Florida, just safe red. She's more progressive than, or more left-wing than even Sanders is, so again, that Cuban vote really just does not like progressives. We've seen that in the primaries before in general elections, so again, she wouldn't be competitive in Florida at all. Ohio would also be likely Republican, but she keeps it in the likely column because she does have fairly populist policies, so it wouldn't be a safe red state. Okay, in the state of Maine, I consider it a likely state. I still think she would do well with most liberals in this state. It's a very socially liberal state, while Trump is quite socially conservative. But he still wins Maine second because of that rural support. He'll maintain it. In New Mexico, I could see the margin going down a bit. It wouldn't be safe blue, but it would be about likely blue. She wins the state by about 8 points, I would say. In the South, again, I could see her underperforming here, but with her support for reparations for slavery, it really would help her with African American voters, but it would definitely not help her with moderate, just suburban white voters. So I could see her not doing great in North Carolina, probably lose it by about 2 to 3 points, and even narrowly lose Georgia due to that suburban vote being key, because we saw Brian Kemp do amazing in the suburbs, and he won by a likely margin. But Trump is a different candidate. He's very unpopular with independents, but that reparations for slavery might really hurt her in a state like Georgia. Okay, next state. New Hampshire, it's a very socially liberal state. She would definitely carry it. Virginia, again, decently socially liberal state. Probably win it by about 4 points against Donald Trump just due to his unpopularity in the state. But she definitely underperforms Biden by quite a bit here because they do like more moderate establishment Dems. In Nebraska's second, this district just has a hatred of Donald Trump, so she'll probably win it by 3 points, even though she's fairly quite left-wing. I think she still carries this district by a lean margin. Okay, in Nevada and Arizona, that's really tough to decide, but I think she probably still loses Nevada. But again, she's quite left-wing, and they usually like more left-wing candidates, but I still think she loses it. And Arizona, she just loses out on that moderate vote, which really wouldn't like a more populist progressive candidate like her. Okay, now we're just down to 4 states here. Minnesota, I honestly still think she wins it by a likely margin instead of lean. I think she gets like 6% margin of victory against Donald Trump. And then these last 3 states here, in Michigan, again, she's quite populist on the policies, and I do think that would help her in a Rust Belt state like this. Even in Pennsylvania, we saw the Fetterman playbook. He didn't run away from being a more liberal type of candidate. So I really think her populist policies would really help her out here. But again, she would be definitely against fracking, which would hurt her with a lot of key constituencies there. And that reparations for slavery part, that would hurt her in the suburbs too. But again, Trump's super unpopular here, and she is fairly populist. So I'm going to be narrowly giving the state to her just by like the narrowest inch, like a few thousand votes I think it would come down to if it was this matchup. However, it's all for naught because I still think Trump would win Wisconsin against her because of that rural base uniting around him, and I could see her not doing as well in the rural areas in this state just due to that fact. And as well as suburbs in Wisconsin, she would definitely underperform in because of that reparations for slavery policy. So Trump narrowly gets a victory against her, but it's closer than it was last time when I did this prediction. She has made a bit of gains because, again, her policies are not as extreme, especially that reparations slavery part. I thought it would be more extreme than what I've read. But still, that would definitely hurt her, and that's the main reason she loses, is just due to that policy. Most of her policies are not as extreme as that one, except for the her green energy policies, which are a bit more extreme. But I'll see you guys in the next video.